Most men don't fail in life because they're losers. They fail because they never learn the right skills. That's what this video is about. The skills no one ever taught you, and you're about to learn. If you master these, winning in life gets so much easier. The first skill is identity adaptation. This is the most important skill a man can develop. It's the skill from which every other skill is born. Without this, forget it. You won't succeed, and I'm going to explain why. Success is the result of three things: thoughts, feelings, and actions. When these three are aligned, success becomes inevitable. But when they're misaligned, no matter how hard you try, you'll never get where you want to go, or you might get there for a moment. But trust me, the path will be much harder and much slower. One of the most important things you can learn in life is this: before you can have anything, you must become the kind of person who already has the results you want, never the other way around. Let me give you an example. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, it's not enough to just want the results. You need to understand how the mind of a successful entrepreneur works, the kind of thoughts he has, how he feels, and how he acts. Because that's the real secret behind his success. The game isn't about wanting what he has. It's about adapting who you are until you start thinking like him. So you're saying, I need to think, feel, and act like someone who's already where I want to be? Exactly. If you're not getting the results you want, something is wrong. And most of the time, the problem isn't effort. It's who you believe you are. This is what I call an identity conflict. It's when your actions don't match what you think and feel. You want one thing, but you act in another way. Let me give you a simple example that happens all the time. When someone decides to be healthier, they usually start strong. They eat right, they train, they rest properly. But after some time, they fall right back into their old pattern. And it's not because they don't want to change. It's because there's an identity conflict. Deep down, they still see themselves as their old self. And as long as that self-image doesn't change, they'll keep getting the same results, no matter how hard they try. It's like trying to change the fruit of a tree without changing the seed. For a while, it might look like it worked, but sooner or later, the tree produces the same fruit again. The lesson is simple. Results never change in a lasting way if identity stays the same. So do this. Start studying the kind of person who already has the result you want. Grab a pen and a piece of paper. Divide the page into 3 parts: thoughts, feelings, and actions. And start taking notes. Then begin to bring those things into your own life, one thing at a time. And when these new patterns become part of your identity, the results will come as a consequence. The second skill is emotional intelligence. On the path to success, you need to be emotionally strong because you'll have to deal with pressure, frustration, and situations that demand a lot from you. And if you don't know how to control your emotions, you'll end up making bad decisions. Before we continue, let me make one thing clear. I'm not telling you to become a cold, emotionless man. Emotional intelligence has nothing to do with that. What I want is for you to learn how to control your emotions instead of letting them control you. And I'll warn you right now, this isn't easy. You'll have to go through many difficult situations to learn how to deal with anger, fear, anxiety, and frustration. But I promise you this, once you master this skill, you become unshakable. Nothing and no one will be able to throw you off balance. But how do I learn to control my emotions? I'll explain. The first thing you need to do before taking any action is to pause for a moment and understand what you're feeling. When you do that, you create distance between the emotion and the decision. And it's exactly in that space that you're able to make the best decision. It's like seeing the situation from the outside. That's the real power of emotional intelligence. The third skill is knowing how to deal with people. If you want to succeed in life, you need to master this skill, because everything you want to achieve in life will, at some point, involve people, whether it's work, money, opportunities, or relationships. None of this happens alone. That's why learning how to deal with people isn't optional. It's a necessity. And let me clarify something important. It doesn't matter if you're introverted or if you don't enjoy communicating that much. Social skills have nothing to do with personality. They're trainable skills you can develop in your own way without pretending to be someone you're not. So how do I develop this skill? Start by understanding one thing. A conversation isn't about you, it's about the other person. You don't need to talk too much. You just need to listen and encourage the other person to talk. You do that by paying attention and asking questions about what they're saying. Let me give you a simple tip. When you talk to someone, talk about things they enjoy. The reason is simple. People love talking about what they're passionate about. If you want someone to like you, that's exactly what you should do. But how do I find out what someone likes? It's simple. Ask questions and watch their reactions. When you touch on a topic and the person reacts with excitement, you've found the right thing to talk about. When you do this, you make people feel important and valued, and naturally, they'll want to give back because of how you made them feel around you. I've built far more connection by being a good listener than by trying to talk too much. I've had interactions where I barely said anything, but just by listening closely and talking about what interested the other person, they ended up liking me at the end of the day. It's very simple. Social skills are about making the other person feel important, nothing more than that. So start practicing this in your daily interactions. Over time, you'll notice the results. There's a saying that goes, "You receive by giving," and in human interactions, that's exactly how it works. When you genuinely take interest in people, they begin to genuinely take interest in you. The fourth skill is financial education. Without this skill, you'll spend your entire life working just to pay bills. But the moment you learn how to handle your money and start controlling what you earn, things begin to change. You gain more freedom, more options, and more time to live life the way you want. Before we continue, I want to break a belief that a lot of people have, especially men. The belief that financial education only matters when you already have a lot of money. People who earn less often think they don't need to worry about this yet. And that's not true. Financial education starts from day one. No matter how much you earn, think about it. If you can't even control what you make, how do you expect to become rich? It makes no sense. Now is the time to start paying attention to this. You need to forget the idea that financial education is complicated. In practice, it's much simpler than it seems. You only need to understand 3 basic principles: eliminate, save, and invest. Everything starts with eliminating. You need to get rid of unnecessary debt and expenses that don't make sense. You can't spend more than you earn. If you do, you'll end up in debt. And this works like a snowball, trying to pay off one. Many people end up creating another, or several at the same time. That only makes things worse. So if you have debt, your priority is to eliminate it. And while you're doing that, you should not create a new one. This doesn't mean you can never spend money on things you enjoy. Money is also meant for that. What I want is for you to start organizing your spending. You need to set a monthly limit for how much you can spend and stay within that limit. If you're not satisfied with how much you can spend today, find a way to earn more. But until then, live within what you have. After that, you need to save the money that's left. My recommendation is simple. Save at least 10% of everything you earn. That's the minimum. The more you can save, the better. This money is not for spending. You don't touch it unless it's to invest in something that gives you a return. Otherwise, forget it. Only after eliminating debt and starting to save money does it make sense to think about investing, but only in things that truly give you a return. I'm not talking only about businesses or stocks. I'm also talking about knowledge. Just saving money and letting it sit doesn't really grow it. And when it does, it's almost nothing. If you're not making your money work for you in some way, it slowly loses value over time. For someone who's just starting, it's hard to know where to put their money, especially without much knowledge. While you're still learning this game, be very careful with promises of easy money. Most of the time, it's a scam. The best investments don't give fast returns. They give results in the long run, especially for people who start with little money. That's why, in the beginning, the best investment you can make is in knowledge, because knowledge teaches you how to use money better, how to make smarter decisions, and how to invest with the long term in mind. What I've taught you here is just the basics of financial education. If you want to go deeper into this topic, there's a lot of good content online about it. Now that you know the 4 skills every man needs to win in life, the goal of this video has been accomplished. Now the rest is up to you.